What's up, dev heads? Are you a dummy and want to make a Fortnite game? If you're looking to get started with UEFN but don't know where to begin, then you came to the right place. In this video, we're going to create a sniper game inspired by the ones I enjoyed in Counter-Strike 1.6. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn some UEFN devices, settings, tips, and level designing in our first game, UEFN for Dummies. Let's begin with creating a new Fortnite project. For this project, I'm going with a grid island because I'm going for a beach island theme, and then we'll misspell sniper and hit create. Currently, the grid is too big, so I will be narrowing down the map as we progress. Use a player pawn as a reference to determine how big the level will be. For this level, there will be 12 spawn points, 6 on each side. To select multiple items like how I'm doing, I shift click. I also type the spacebar to switch from resizing objects to moving objects. Then I rotated the spawn points so they could be facing one another. I did the same thing for the other side. I'm eyeballing everything, so I began spacing out the spawn points. Again, I'm trying to mimic that Counter-Strike custom sniping level I played back in the days. Now here comes the spice. To go with the beach theme, I will begin adding palm trees and scattering them everywhere. Make sure you take your time when you're level designing. For my sake, I'm just placing a variety of palm trees. I tried adding walls, but I was not feeling it. So I deleted it and I started adding different types of palm trees. Fortunately for me, Fortnite came with different types of palm trees, making this process easier. Now here comes the covers. I decided to go with boulders and rocks to hide from the other team. And little did I know the boulder I placed was a physics boulder device, which I will later on delete because they will not be needed for this game. I did not want to complicate the game, so we're going with generic static meshes. I really love how we no longer need to build lighting for UEFN. This definitely makes game developing faster and easier than waiting hours upon hours to bake lighting. The level is really shaping up. I also wanted to add some random covers near the middle, but did not want to overdo it. Also, the way I move around the map is by holding the middle mouse wheel and moving with the WASD key. To drag models to your game, all you gotta do is drag and drop. It's that easy. Then I wanted to add some type of hill in the middle, which later will be used to display the top player's score. To move an object, just drag the arrow on the direction you want to move the object to, and left click and drag your mouse. I then place a team setting and inventory device to adjust the settings later. I did a search for island settings to drag it near my team settings. I find it best practice and easier for me to put all the settings in one spot. It makes finding devices and impacts the gameplay much easier. As you can see, the more we add, the more the level is shaping up. Now here is the player reference we talked about earlier. We will show the best player score here and stick it in the hill for all to see. When you're trying to resize an object and you want to resize it evenly, make sure you grab the box in the middle and drag them out. In the settings, I adjusted the color of the hologram to fit the level. Then check show player's details to display the name and score. For the animation, I wanted to show a cool victory animation. Finger guns animation was perfect. I also set it to track eliminations. When you're level designing, you're going to do a lot of adjusting, so be patient and take breaks if you're feeling overwhelmed. Since I'm going for an asymmetrical style, I added rocks to the other side because we will put this in the middle of the side for all to see. Now the settings contain a lot of game logic, so I started by changing max players to 10 and teams to team index, team size to 2, and total rounds to 50. Now I grabbed all spawns for each team to assign them to a team index. I did the same thing to the other side, but instead of 1, I assigned them to index 2. Then I went back to team settings and started assigning and creating teams. For the first team, I set the name to blue and made the color blue. I dragged out another team device and named it to red, and set them to team color red. There's a lot of options that you can explore and go through depending on your game, but for now we're keeping it simple. I also changed the team index to 2 for the red team and team index 1 for the blue team. I saved and ran the game to get a feel of the progress and for ideas on what to do next. If you're forgetful like me, make sure you have a notepad so you can write all the updates you want to do on the next update. I dragged out the HUD controller and started adjusting the settings. Depending on your game, you can customize your HUD. I won't go into details on the HUD because the name settings are pretty much self-explanatory and it will vary depending on your game. But for this game, I made sure to show what I selected yes to and what I selected no to. It's a long list, so rerun it back if you need to. Now I placed a big boulder on each side to give players cover. That way they won't get sniped while getting their guns of their preference. Again, to drag a model into your map, all you gotta do is drag it to the viewport and make sure you click the box in the middle to resize the boulder properly and evenly. We will be doing the same thing on the other side, and then we're gonna start moving our cover a little bit more forward, closer to the other team. I then began to make teams closer and adjusting the covers to add more space to the back. I guarantee you that this prototype will look so much different from the end product. Then this is where I added sniper guns. I didn't want them too overpowered, so I picked level 4 snipers, but I can always go back and adjust if needed. I went with 4 snipers to begin. Then I did the same thing on the other side. I saved and ran the game to get a feel of how both teams will space apart, as well as testing each snipers and their strength and rate of fire. I recently started playing Fortnite, so I had to test them out. So far, the snipers I chose were the perfect fit for this map. I was also studying the range of the sniper guns and to see if I need to adjust the level a bit, which I did end up doing. I then went back to the editor and hid all the guns behind the big boulder. I did not want players getting shot while arming themselves. I added more snipers, and I found out that one gun was not really a sniper. If you're new to Fortnite like me, make sure you add a lot of weapons so you can test them out on runtime, or you can play some Battle Royale. So far, both methods are working out for me. Also note, the higher level the weapon is, the more stronger it will be in game. I guess you can say the higher the level, the more damage the weapon does. For this game, I didn't want players to worry about ammo because the main focus is to practice their sniping skills, so I changed it in settings along with removing building materials because I did not want to allow it. I also unchecked buildings and destroy environments to focus only on sniping. I also wanted to add more to the game, so I ended up finding bridges to snipe from. And to my luck, I found 2 styles of bridges that were blue and red, perfect for this kind of game. Then I put the weapons behind the boulder so you can arm yourself and receive cover at the same time. I saved and ran to get a feel of things. Right off the bat, I felt that the bridges were too far apart and I would need to narrow things down a bit more. I ran to the gun section to test them out. It was also quite a distance to get sniper guns if I wanted quick action. In this scene, I did a more thorough test for each sniper gun, and to my luck, all of them performed the way I wanted them to. I still was not happy with the distance, so I will be doing more adjusting later. Since I added bridges, I removed the big boulders for cover and used the bridge for cover instead. To make it even, I added 2 guns on each side. I also removed the gun that was not a sniper. And then I did the same thing for the other team. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. It will really help me out as a starter YouTuber. I moved the player reference to the side because there was too much cover in the middle. I eyeballed it and made sure it was centered. In your case, you can use the grid to know the exact measurements. Then I ran and tested it. Again, the spawn points were too far from the guns, which I did not like, and I also noticed that the guns had a delay when spawning in. I wrote down all the bugs so I wouldn't forget when I went back to the editors to do the adjustments. I still didn't like the fact that things felt too far. I went back to the editor to alleviate the problem. If you got a long laundry list of bugs or fixes that you need to do, remember to write them down. I moved the spawn points near the guns as well. Also, if you like more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you got any questions, feel free to write me a comment below. I will also try my best to release 2 to 3 videos a week at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Fortnite provides a lot of assets, so make sure you study the assets and go through the list to see what fits well with your level. So anyways, I went back to the settings and changed the max players to 12 because I added 2 more spawn points per side. I began making things closer and adjusting the spawn points and guns to be more cleaner and organized. I then started putting the spawn points behind the guns. That way when you load in, you can easily access the guns and arm up to start fighting. I then added an in-game device, which I did not need to use, but with this device, you can set the game logic rules on how you want the game to end. I went back to settings because there wasn't much to change. I changed the elimination score to 1 so it could increase by digits of 1. And then I changed elimination to 50 to end. And then I checked my use team score. As I shrunk the map, I made sure the entire playing field was in the middle. This is the part where I deleted the boulder physics because they were not static meshes. Remember to take your time and don't get discouraged. Testing out your games, spotting bugs, and making adjustments, it's all part of the game. And if you got any questions or if you get stuck on anything, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll be sure to reach out to you. I then grabbed the spawn points and the guns closer to the bridge so you wouldn't get shot when grabbing guns or spawning in. To keep track of the score, I added the score manager. I made sure to add 2 and adjusted the team index for each of them. I changed index 1 for the first score manager and index 2 for the second score manager. And then I adjusted and created an event to trigger at score 10. And I checked play audio and display score update on HUD. For testing purposes, I went back to the settings and changed the total rounds to 20. Then for the game win condition, I changed it to the most score wins and I checked time limit and set it to 10 minutes and score to end at 10. I saved and played the game. I still didn't like the fact that guns took a while to spawn in and it still seemed like the other team bridge was quite a distance. I clicked on the gun to see if there was a settings to adjust the spawn time, and to my surprise, there was. so I began shift clicking all guns so I can bulk change the guns. I went from 10 seconds to 1 second. You can also change the time between spawns, so I changed it to 1 so other players wouldn't get impatient. To increase the cover, I enlarged the boulders. I went to Score Manager to make sure that team index were correctly set. For the sake of distance, I started adding teleporters. One next to the end of the bridge to teleport you to the top, and I assigned the teleporters by giving them a group and setting a target to teleport to. For this side, I set it to A and B, and make sure you reverse save for the other teleporter to B and A. I did the same thing for the other side but used B and C instead. Make sure you get the letters right or else you will find yourself teleporting somewhere else. Then I did the same thing on the blue side. I placed a teleporter at the bottom and set it to E and F. And then I placed another teleporter on the top and set it to F and E. Then we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side with groups G and H. I saved and ran the game. The guns spawned faster this time around and the teleporter worked as we intended to. I was still skeptical of the distance, so I decided to upload a private version so that I could test it with a friend. Go to project, then upload to private version. Save a comment, then hit upload. Copy your code because we will use it in Fortnite and it's what you need to give your friends to connect. Upon testing, the spawns worked correctly, but my friend was spawning as the same team that I was in, therefore I couldn't kill him. There was an error somewhere. I went back to the settings and changed the teams to 2. I went to projects and uploaded a new version. I loaded it in, then I grabbed the gun, shot my friend, and it worked. I noticed that players do not show up in your screen if they are very far, so I checked if there was a settings, but I'm not finding render distance settings. If you know of a fix, please comment below. As a quick fix, and perhaps to make the gameplay better, I narrowed the level much more, so I began moving the cover boulders and the player reference, and the bridge of course. And of course, I will have to move the spawn points along with the sniper guns. Make sure you go around your map to spot check to see if you miss anything. And then grab the cover from one side and place it in the middle. This gives it an asymmetrical team balance. And of course, we're putting the player reference to the middle so everyone can see the best player. I'm going around double checking, seeing if I missed anything. I made a third publish and I was finally happy with the distance. Until I find a fix on the settings, I noticed that Fortnite does not render other players if they're too far from you. If you know of a fix, please comment below. I went back to the editor and did some minor cleanups. I moved the spawn points closer to the bridge cover and fixed some teleporters. I then decided to add teleporters to the gun section so that players don't have to run across the map to get other guns. As I shrunk the map, I remember I had to move the teleporters we've done previously. In the outliner, I started clicking on all teleporters to see if I missed anything. I then went back to the settings and changed the total rounds to 2 and the elimination to 2 for quick testing of the game logic. I uploaded one final private version to test with a friend, and here are the end results. Hope you enjoy! If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. For more UEFN videos, click on the playlist to the right.